Today's talk is called, What Do You Expect? What do you expect? And Eric Butterworth, in his book, Spiritual Economics, writes this. On page 77. Open your hymnals. The faith required to demonstrate prosperity is not simply a pious pronouncement. Faith is expectancy. You do not receive what you want. You do not receive what you pray for. Not even what you say you have faith in. You will always receive what you actually expect. How about that? Rats, there's another hook in this, isn't there? Feminine. Just when I thought I had it down. I thought faith was enough. Sometimes after people have experienced modest outworkings as a result of their prayer efforts, they may say, well, it is about what I expected. They may only be trying to cover their wounded egos, but they are telling much about their faith. How many people go through life in this consciousness, holding a tin cup under the Niagara of God's plenty? What a good visual. It is a small fry expectancy that usually manifests as a string-saving, make-do, can't-afford-it level of consciousness. It is marginal living at best. Some people, and you'll know if this is you, even prepare for the worst so they will not be disappointed. And of course they rarely are. Congratulations. He says, what a weak and insipid kind of life expectancy. It is what we might call in tune with the indefinite. I'll read this next part. It is important to know that the creative process is at work in you all the time, not just when you are having faith. Infinite mind is an activity that is constantly at work within you, not just when you are affirming healing or prosperity prayers. Sometimes people pray in tones that suggest trying to awaken God, urging God to get on the job. But it really works the other way. And he quotes Ephesians here. Awake thou that sleepest. It is you who are asleep to your God potential, which is always present. Unless you begin to understand God as principle, you will go on living marginally. The universal principle is, before they call, I will answer. In the great unity of all life, when you have a need, the answer is already moving on its way toward you. Before you formulate a desire in mind, it is God you are desiring. Are we clear on this? This is one of the most key things you will ever hear on this pulpit. I'm going to read it before again. Before you formulate a desire in mind, it is God you are desiring. It's not stuff in the world. It is God that you desire, because God is the source of all. So it is God that you are desiring. When you think you want a new car, it's actually God you desire. When you think you want a relationship, it is actually God that you desire. When you think you want a chair to sit upon, it is God that you desire. When you think you want money, it is God that you desire. When you think you want health, it is God that you desire. When you think you want to drop some weight, it is God that you desire. No matter what it is you think you want in the world, trust that it is God that you desire. For faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of that which is not yet seen. So it's not wanting the things I hope for. It is not wanting the things that I have not yet seen. It is the assurance and the conviction that I desire. Okay, let you know. Before you have an urge to do something or embark upon a project, there is a moving of spirit in you, prompting you in that direction. That is great information to take with you today, to carry with you. Some of you may already know it, but I'm willing to bet there's a couple of you here who weren't quite clear on that information, who still thought it was about the thing. If I could just have with the thing, I'll be happy. It's always God. And Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder's book, How to Let God Help You, chapter 16, she's talking about addiction and substance abuse. And the chapter title is The Longing of Our Soul. The longing of our soul. And she says these people are not to be scorned, the addicts, the people who desire drugs and alcohol and spicy foods. Seriously, she mentions that because we get addicted to our sensations, in the body. We start to crave a sensation of some sort, and there's a lot of stuff. Right down to, you can physically abuse yourself. There's lots of stuff that people can do to have that physical sensation. When I was a little boy, I used to punch myself in the head. I needed a sensation. I'd go bang my head into a wall, what have you. So my mother one day took my head, banged it into a coffee table because she felt the couch I tried to do it on wasn't hard enough, and I didn't do it after that. I guess I got the sensation I needed. Sometimes abuse works, apparently. Anyway, in that book, when she talks about the people who they're trying to grab for something, she says what they have, those poor people, those poor addicts, and they have a longing to know God, and they're trying to satisfy that longing through the flesh, in one form or another. They're trying to satisfy it through a physical sensation rather than a spiritual sensation. And so, to rethink your cravings, your desires, and realize, I want to go to the mall today and rack up a card or two or three. And what I really want to know is God. I don't have to take on guilt because I wanted to go to the mall. But before I go to the mall, if I can bear it, before I eat the entire pint of ice cream. Before I tell you what I think of you. Before I push the gas pedal all the way to the floor. Before I use a select finger to any driver around me. Before I go to the bar, before I go to my drug dealer, before I hit send. I need an entire email written in caps. Really have to tell myself that I am less than the child of God? Do I really have to look in the mirror and call myself any name other than, oh, you big beloved child of God, you? If there's another name you're hoping for. And then maybe you won't have to voice that other name that you want to call yourself. I have I've read, I guess you'd say I've seen, on Facebook, some of the things people call themselves. It's shocking to me that someone thinks that they will lose weight by hating themselves. That someone thinks they will change their life for the good by just slamming themselves publicly. Privately, they'll do it publicly. I have never, ever changed my life because I hated myself. That was not my impetus. It's because I had a flicker of love and I went with it. I had a holy instant, of Course in Miracles calls it. I had a holy instant where I sought peace. Be it in a room full of like-minded people, be it by being willing to meditate, by being willing to see if this longing passes by satisfying the spirit rather than the flesh. I remember years ago I wanted to go act out some way, and I called a mentor of mine and I said, I really want to do this. And they said to call somebody first before you go and act out. And he said, it's fine that you want to do this, but could you wait till tomorrow? Wasn't that a nice thing to say? Because by tomorrow it had passed. I didn't have that desire anymore. It was right now I had to have it satisfied. I've yet to have an urge that had to be satisfied tomorrow. My urges all are about right now. Every single one that I want to satisfy, because I forget that what I desire is God. What I desire is to know love, is to know peace, is to know joy. Years ago, when in working with humility in the 12 steps, and I came to understand, and I don't know how it came to me, with meditation or what it was, because I've heard a lot of people abusing themselves through these character defects. I thought, character defect? I know I have a lot of symptoms, but what's my character defect? The exact nature of my wrongs. And I had to look at it. I think, oh, I'm not willing to accept my divinity. That's my character defect. And in that unwillingness to accept my divinity, that's when we become liars and thieves and all, and substance abusers and also, just general icky. Just big pile of ick walking around. And when I realized, it's just my divinity. And so to go within and say, I would like to accept my divinity. What does that mean? How would I accept my divinity? Well, I believe the Bible gives us that one, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. And I understand a lot of people have troubles with the word God, but what if you sought the kingdom of love? What if you sought the kingdom of peace? What if you sought the kingdom of joy? What if you sought the kingdom of divine principle? That there is a principle always active, all at work, always at work. Just like Eric Butterworth said, I'm always getting what I expect. So I had to learn how to expect new things, different things. And that's where the humility came in, because I thought humility cannot be about, laying down and being miserable and embarrassed and ashamed. I don't find real good humility in that. And I thought, and if it has to do, in the steps, it's connected with God. Humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Humbly, what could that mean? And I realized one day, humility is expecting God's best. That's true humility. There's no humiliation in that. Humility is expecting God's best. Not expecting your best, but expecting God's best. Now, I don't want to tell myself a story about what God's best is. I want to become open to what God's best is. And if I am expecting God's best, then whatever is taking place, this is God's best right now. And sometimes you want to think, this cannot be God's best. This cannot possibly be God's best. How could someone I love leaving this planet be God's best? How can someone I love being in pain, or me being in pain, be God's best? It's God's best as I am prepared to experience it. And so, to announce to myself, if this is, as we just said earlier, the best day ever, this is God's best, because God's not a person. And I said to the retreat, at the retreat, and I've said it many times here before, God is not nice. God is not a nice old man, and if I just say nice things and behave well, then He will reward me. It has nothing to do with, there is no reward, there is no punishment. There is life experience, life on life's terms, and it's going to keep happening. But if I uphold or adhere to principle, if I adhere to divine principle, and I get understanding of divine law, then I'm always going to know what to think, what to say, and what to do. There's always going to be a perfect order, perfect alignment from what I think to what I say and to what I do. And then I am expecting the best. I am expecting it. And then I have reason to celebrate. Yahoo, this is the best. This is the best. I was reading this in the book of Matthew, and this is kind of wonderful, because what it does is it sets each other free. Sets all of us free from each other. Let me find it here. To separate your brothers and sisters and have expectations of them is to separate your brothers and have expectations of them is not to see them as one. They are one together. They are one with you. They are one with God. Whatever you expect of your brother or your sister, you expect from me, meaning Holy Spirit. If you expect that your brother or sister is separate from you, you expect that I am separate from you too. And because of this, you are lost from heaven. I say, love your brother, love your sister. Serve as you would serve me, and as you do, you serve yourself. For you have acknowledged that it is all the same, and that for its sameness you are grateful. You will go far on your gratitude for sameness. I say to you, gratitude for sameness will carry you to heaven. We're not talking about heaven when you die, we're talking about heaven when you think. Imagine that every thought you have is from a heaven consciousness. Every thought. Because I don't need you to be different, and I don't need you to be different. I don't need you to be different than you are. I just need to see you correctly. I need to see behaviors that you're displaying correctly. Just as I need to look in the mirror here and see my behaviors correctly, see my thinking correctly, and see it in that light and joy and peace abide in me, that I am sustained by the love of God, that I expect God's good. And today is the best day ever. That today is the best doggone day ever. Today is the day the Lord hath made. It doesn't say tomorrow is the day the Lord hath made. Today is the day the Lord hath made. And it is good. It's very good. And so, looking around, I'm seeing my life. And you people are my life. How do I know that? Because I'm with you today. It's very difficult for me to discern that we are all one. Very, very difficult for me to get it, that we are all one. Because you look so different from each other. And you look so different from what I imagine I look like. But could I expect that it's true anyway? Could I go ahead and expect to know that it's true anyway, without a story, that we are one? That we are one. We are one. Could I go ahead and expect that? And if that's the case, oh man, I'm free to play with you instead of judge you. I'm free to play with you instead of resist you. I'm free to play with you instead of to fear you. I am free to play and enjoy because I need no thing from you. And I have no thing to give to you. And so you're free of obligation and I'm free of obligation. And so all I expect now is God's best. To be continuously, to constantly be revealed. Kenneth is about to sing a song based in the hard days of knowing God is present, even when it's difficult, even when I'm forgetting. There's a great peace that I can remember about what I call God, what I understand as God, and I can remember, there's the Job experience. There's all sorts of biblical experiences where it's hard to be in this body, it's hard to be on this earth some days. Some days it's like, oh my goodness, I might not have chosen this had I known this was going to be what it felt like. And knowing this is how I was going to judge it. I might have chosen it differently if I had known beforehand that I was going to judge this like this, if I was going to perceive this like this. But I really want to leave you with this today. That in humility, in divine humility, It is so safe to expect God's best. And God's best is my only reality. God's best is my only reality. God's best is my only